Sonic Superstars. A game that to a majority of the Sonic fanbase has been completely forgotten about. But why is that exactly? I mean, after all, it's a new classic Sonic game. It should be good, right? Well, in today's video, I'm gonna talk about why Sonic Superstars was ultimately just kind of a letdown. Now, to understand why I believe this game to be a massive disappointment, we have to understand where we were at in the franchise. Last year, we not only had Sonic Dream Team, Sonic Frontiers DLC, and we had, well, Sonic Superstars, which up until this point was the only new classic Sonic game. The last time we had a classic Sonic game was Sonic Mania. And keep in mind, while that was a new classic Sonic game, it heavily relied on nostalgia bait. It wasn't really a new game. Sure, it had new concepts and ideas and an all-new story, but it wasn't really a new classic Sonic game. It felt more like a blast to the past, and there's nothing wrong with that. But Superstars felt like something fresh and original, and that was exciting to a lot of people. Keep in mind, I am not the biggest classic Sonic fan. I do enjoy the original games, and I do like Mania, but I've never been the biggest classic fan. I've always preferred the modern Sonic games. As inconsistent as they are, I just think Sonic is more fun in 3D rather than 2D. And there's nothing wrong with 2D Sonic. I like the Rush games, I like the advanced games, but classic Sonic's gameplay to me just never really felt as fun as something like the adventure gameplay or even the boost gameplay. I still like classic Sonic. It's fine, you know, it's classic Sonic. It's decent. It's a fun time regardless, but Superstars felt different. I mean, they were bringing back Fang the Sniper, who is a pretty obscure character, while also promising every level in the game would be original, which was honestly a breath of fresh air because every time they make a new Sonic game, Sega just has this, I want to say, addiction to just bring back Green Hill Zone and Chemical Plant whenever they can, because they think that's what the fans want, when in reality you're just milking something that was special once long ago, but now it's just become the norm. People aren't excited to see those levels anymore. So having new levels was nice, but then the game came out, and, well, it was just kind of okay. The new levels that they promised, while there were a few outliers, and I do think that this game overall has some interesting level design, I think that a majority of the levels in this game are just kind of stuff we've seen before. And what I mean by that is that they use certain themes, like you've got the water level, and then you've got the tropical level, and then you've got the factory level. It all just kind of blends together, and you're just left there thinking, I've seen this in another classic Sonic game before. Hell, I've seen this in a 3D game before. And don't get me wrong, it's not all doom and gloom with this game. Like, the controls and physics are very good, honestly. They feel almost exactly like Mania's controls and physics, and I actually really like that. I also like the art style and graphics that this game has. The 2.5D style they were going for actually really works for this game, I feel, and it looks nice and clean. But speaking of Mania, it's time to address the elephant in the room. There were, I guess, leaks or reports that we were supposed to get a Mania 2 at some point, but Sega ultimately canceled the project, and in return, they just let RZ Studios handle making a new classic Sonic game, and that's how we got Superstars, which, knowing that we could have gotten a Sonic Mania 2 with original level design and a new story, is incredibly disappointing, because instead we got Superstars, which, by comparison, I'm sorry, Superstars will never be better than a Mania 2, in my eyes. And as much as I hate to say it, Sonic Superstars, in terms of its soundtrack, is incredibly lackluster. There's only a few good songs in this game, and most of the other songs were just really forgettable, or honestly just annoying. And that really sucks. And now it's time to address this game's biggest flaw, the boss fights. My god, the boss fights in this game are horrendous. One of the main issues I have with the bosses in this game is that they last way too long. Because there are so many phases, and because the bosses have invincibility frames now, you can no longer speedrun the bosses like you used to be able to in the old classic Sonic games. And as a result, you have these bosses that feel like such a slog to get through, and they have really annoying attacks to dodge on top of that. The charm of getting multiple hits on those old bosses and blasting through them was satisfying because it felt like the game was rewarding you for your skill. But Sonic Superstars clearly didn't follow that philosophy. Look, I don't think this game is bad necessarily, I just think it was very mid. Almost less than mid, kind of just there. It was made to be a classic Sonic game and not much else. And that's why it's so disappointing. It could have been so much more, but it ended up just being released for the sake of being released. Hopefully if Classic Sonic gets another game, it's better than this, and I'll see you in my next project. Also, I cannot thank you guys enough for 100 subscribers.